Okay, so this is yet another SPQR. This is the Battle of Baecula. Comes from the Africanus module. I don't know whether or not this makes it into the Designer's Edition. It's an interesting battle, though. This is Scipio's first major victory, perhaps, or major battle, not his major victory. He's already come down in to avenge his father and uncle into Spain and seized Nueva Carthago, which was sort of the Carthaginian capital in Spain. And that was kind of a stunning blow. And now he swings in and he's got a fairly large army, four double legions operating, plus some marines, which are going to be represented as additional velites. And he's going to attack Hasdrubal Barca's command, which has taken up, it's in a defensive position in a fort. Scenario allows for some special situations, one of which is both sides are it's basically a meeting engagement, or it opens up as a meeting engagement. The Carthaginians are allowed to set up with a little bit of latitude. The Romans come on the board. Not exactly a meeting engagement, but you get the approach to battle coming on. Now, Hasdrubal has an interesting situation here where apparently he fought briefly and then withdrew. And although heavily outnumbered, representing that is part of what the scenario is about. It gives an option where Hasdrubal can either choose to leave or to stand and try to fight. Now, it would be very easy for him to just leave. So there are restrictions on his movement where he can't come out of the camp with the forces that are there until the Romans essentially begin moving up the hill. Seeing if there's additional factors there. Or if they move north of the 30,000 hex row, which is essentially if they're trying to cheat their way around the line. So the Romans have to come a certain advanced distance before the Carthaginians can leave the fort. The other thing is they can't leave the map until the fourth game turn. Now, where are they leaving from is the question. The Carthaginians can voluntarily exit through the northern corner of the map, 1000 through 1002, 11 and 1200, which is going to be these little E's marked down here. So if they can perform a fighting withdrawal with more units than they leave on the map, and the game ends automatically if they're all inside the fort, all the remaining on-map units are inside the fort, the game ends. To me, that actually looks fairly easy. It would be absolutely trivial if the Romans are coming on. You just stream everything out of the fort. But these lights may not be enough to withstand the initial Roman assault, and the Romans may be able to catch up to the Carthaginians within the 4 turns or whatever before they can get off the map. We have some Carthaginian cav here. Frankly, it looks to me like a withdrawal is exactly what the Carthaginians are most able to do to win the game, so I think they're going to take that. Now, what if they take the stand option? Well, their tactical quality losses for the withdraw option are fairly low. Their army can be routed easily. Their quality losses, if they choose to stand, are a bit higher, but they are strongly, strongly outnumbered. We have a numerical count here where the size is here. And the tactical quality size of the Roman army is 256, Carthaginians 239. The route points, Carthaginians right now will leave at 100. I think it goes up to 135 if they choose to battle. On the other hand, the Romans, it takes 215. I don't see a chance of the Carthaginians holding. So I'm going to go with the withdrawal option. I think it's the only one that's plausible. And that's not to say I'm going to play the Romans as though they know that, but they're aware of that and have to push on kind of hard. And that could affect things. Anyway, what are our forces like? Well, less cav maybe than the Carthaginians normally have. They don't have their heavy cav. They just got some lights and lancers. I don't know if the heavy were elsewhere. The Romans are a little shorter on cav. Perhaps the biggest thing, the Triarii line's been left behind. And another one is that our good friend, and this is Scipio Africanus, has decided, in addition to not bringing the Triarii, to kind of train his troops in a slightly different fashion than has been the tactical doctrine of Rome. Now, this is the kind of thing that gets you killed, right? If you lose battles and you don't follow the orders, you're probably going to die. Even if you win them, the Romans might not take well to that. But, because, discipline was what they were all about, right? But here's the thing. He's starting to lean them towards what eventually becomes the Roman integration. The ally cohorts becoming more one with the rest of the legion. And or legions in this case. And in that sense, what he's getting out of it is his tribunes are going to be able to command anything. He doesn't have to worry about quite their command restrictions in terms of a tribune can command ally and regular Roman legions units at the same time. Not just through line commands, but through normal commands. That kind of provides for an interesting set. I think the Hastati and the Principe are still going to be divided there, but it gets rid of the Praefect Secorum idea. We still have the Praefect Equitus, who will be commanding the horse. And we got some other leaders here to help Scipio. Actually, I think I'm down one Praefect Equitus I gotta find. We got Laelius, who is not commanding cavalry in this. And I think this is the right counter for Marcius Septimus. It just says Marcius on it. I couldn't find one that was specific about Marcius Septimus, but I didn't look through all my bags. I just have my pile of Roman leaders, so it's possible he could be in another bag. I don't know. I know the game's kind of iffy about sometimes it gives full names to people and they're not on the counter or no real indication. Anyway, let's take a look at this and see what the Romans are able to do. One thing to note, Scipio Africanus, yeah, his name's Publius too, but is an elite leader, which means he's going to be able to trigger an elite leader movement as his first action of the game. It doesn't have to be him. He can subordinate that to another leader. Okay, so here the Romans have come onto the board. They've crossed the river for the most part. We've got the Velites in front as usual, with the double line behind that of legionary forces. No Triarii, obviously. Cav taking the flank over here, which is actually where the Carthaginian cav is. They feel like that's because it's not anchored the way this side is. Now, of course, the Romans could have slid their entire force over there, but it looks like this is where the cav, if any cav engagement is going to happen, is going to be. Historically, there's no mention of a major cav fight, but it does seem like it will be unlikely for this battle not to involve one, given that it's sort of a pursuit, to tell you the truth. Carthaginians remaining in their position on the hill. They could have come forward a little bit, but by not moving the slingers forward, it felt wrong to leave to move the lights forward. I would like to get all on this one line though, where they have a slight terrain advantage from the hill. Where they are right now, they're kind of positioned where part of the hill dips down. And they don't really like that too much. Onward. And the Velites move forward, hit the line of skirmishers and rout them very easily. Always a question to me, do I try to, keep the skirmishers and run them forward to try to do the slinging tactic? It just seems like so much effort when they're probably just about as ineffectual no matter what I do with them. But they did break up the Velite line, and they're going to make it harder for the Romans to advance because of that. Yes, I counted on where they would be and moved an entire Roman line together. They also did a little bit of damage, and that again is going to slow things down. This is turn 2. Turn 4 I can start pulling Carthaginians off the board. I think it's going to be real hard to stop them from getting their army off in enough quantity. And here we have the situation at the end of turn 2, with the Romans having pushed forward quite a bit. What you'll see is a number of the Roman units, basically the legions and cav, have taken cohesion hits crossing this river. And in some cases I've used these big numbers to indicate, hey, the 2 units under that both have a hit. That's all that's standing for, because there aren't all that many ones, and I had them all on the first line and said, I got a problem here, I don't have enough counters. The Romans are trying to reform their army at the same time as advancing. They don't want to push them too hard, although actually rushing may be the issue, may be the advantage. Right now, Carthaginians can't leave camp. I was very careful to keep the Roman line segmented, and it's actually in 2 lines right now, not getting onto this little yellow hump here, but moving up as far as I really could in order to get as much ground as I could without charging forward. I may have to push hard very soon, especially because of that turn 4 thing. I don't want to dilly-dally too much when I have multiple time limits. One of them is the yellows here. Once I hit those, they can come out of the camp. But the other one is, there's a hard limit on turn 4, which is, if they can come out of the camp and just come streaming out towards there, unless I can break them all at once, it doesn't really do me any good to have delayed much. Over here we see the Roman cav moving in, and the Numidians trying to cut them off and prevent them from managing a major outflank on the Carthaginian position. The Carthaginians have no chance in hell of holding this line. They trumped in with these and failed in an attempt to kind of slow the Roman recovery from the river down, and they didn't even get to move up to here. We see the routing Balearic slingers. I'm going to have to try to rally them. They're only a couple points each, but this is going to be a game of a few points, I think. It's going to be a race for that corner there. I'm assuming that it's actually fairly balanced. They say the Romans have the slight advantage, but I'm not sure that counts in the disengagement rules as they stand. I'm going to load this one up, and we go on to turn 3, with not a lot having happened. But it is pretty to see, this big advance moving forward towards that tiny little line.